Okay, so I'd like to talk to you about a fun little exercise that I like to do, and it's a way to kind of break through any kind of ruts that you might get into. We all get into them. I still do after years of doing this. And that rut, a lot of times I just end up drawing that same character over and over again. And so a fun exercise to do is to just sit down and really force yourself to step out of what it is that you're doing over and over again, and just play with proportions, play with shapes and that sort of thing. So here I'm going to do it with some faces. And we're just going to sit down and have some fun. One of the big things to remember when doing this is that you're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. You're going to create images that aren't that great, But that's all part of this process. The idea is to make mistakes. Remember, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. And so that's why I find even now I force myself to do this, and I'll do bad drawings. We all do bad drawings, but then you see what is it that makes that drawing bad, and you push it aside and you do something different. And so over time, you'll end up kind of building up a library in your brain of what works and what doesn't, and fun proportions and that sort of thing. And remember, like we talked about in the other video, evenness is the killer of good design. You don't want things to be even. And so this kind of forces yourself to find those big contrasts in the face. So why don't we go ahead and dive in? And I just wanted to show you one real quick. I'm gonna put my glasses on. Let me show you one where I actually sat down ahead of time and did this exercise, because this is what I'm going for. And you can see I've got this whole page full. Some of them are colored, some of them aren't. But I've got this whole page full of characters where I sat down and just had some fun playing with different proportions, different sized eyes, different races of people, different genders, old, young, just having some fun with it and seeing what you come up with. That's the whole idea. And that's what's fun with this. I mean, when I sit down, a lot of times I don't know what's... I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. I don't sit down with a preconceived idea of a design, when I'm doing these. I just sit down and just start to draw and see what we can come up with. And so that's what what we're going to do today. I might end up doing some bad drawings, but like I said, that's the key to all of this, is you find out what's bad, what's not, and just have some fun. So I'm going to go ahead and let's just dive in, and I'll kind of talk through my thinking when I do this kind of stuff. So once again, I like to sit, sometimes I just scribble something out, sometimes I play with shape. So let's just try, start off with some guy, and I want to let's go with square. I'm just going to go with something that's kind of square. And maybe, let's see, and I still think it's important. You still really need to think about form. Okay, think about form. So, I want to come back here and maybe let's give him big jowls. He's got maybe a chin right in here, and let's give him that eye line right in here, which comes down like so. Let's give him maybe a little nose, something in there. And maybe some little eyes to contrast. Notice also how loose I'm being. I think it's very important to be loose at this stage, because you're just kind of exploring. And so since I want that contrast, I like this big kind of jowly open face right here. So, and I like this little area of detail. Let's push his cheeks up. So now maybe we can pull his face way up here, pull his mouth way up here. And then you end up, with a nice contrast, a little area of detail in the face right there, as you can see. And then, the big, let me move this up here. And then a big face. Maybe we can give him kind of a big neck. There you go. And I want to keep that square head, so let's give him like a very close cut, maybe crew cut kind of thing. And he's got hair like so. So I'm just playing with proportion. I don't like that nose, so I'm just going to come in here and change it. Like so. That feels kind of nice. See how rough I'm being? Just play with proportion. And then the other thing too, you know, if you wanted to, I could sit down, I could pull this way back and I could go, okay, well, what if you look, what does he look like if I make his eyes really big? You know, you can play with stuff like that. For me, that kind of evens things out a little too much. But I want you to think about that kind of stuff. It's all about just experimenting. See what works and see what doesn't work. So now that I've got this guy laid in like this, I can come in and just have, whoops, let's create a new layer. And just, I can tie it down a little bit. There we go. And the key is, when, you know, be really rough. Let's bring that nose in like so. Maybe there's a break in the bridge of the nose. The key is, you know, if you're really rough, you can really explore a lot more. And then at this stage, this is when you can go ahead and kind of make the drawing pretty and kind of tie down the parts that work, and then and leave out the parts that don't. You know, it's really kind of defining the good part of the drawing. So here I want to have the eye just a little thicker there to indicate eyelashes. A little corner of the eye. Cheeks are being pushed up. I'm thinking about, you know, even at this, you know, in a cartoony image like this, I'm still thinking about anatomy. I'm still thinking about what, you know, what's happening from an anatomical standpoint on this character. You know, he's got cheeks, he's got mass, he's got, you know, there's fat right here in the cheeks that are going to get bunched up. So I want to think about that form. Always thinking about form, even while going cartoony. Now I can try, what if we just did, you know, just the regular black iris, you know, which tends to be a bit more cartoony. You can do that and see what that looks like. And that's kind of nice. I'm going to give him a little bit more eyelid just because I want to add a little bit more detail there, just for my personal taste. But what if I'm going to knock that eraser down a little bit. What if we erase that out? Just try something a little different. What if I gave him like a more realistic iris? Let's go a little smaller there. There we go. And then small pupils. That's kind of interesting. I like that. And that gives us something to, you know, if I wanted to, I could lightly shade in, you know, like so. It's just about having some fun, seeing what works. You know, I want to give a little mass maybe to that cheek, thinking about that cheek coming up. Let's do this ear. I want to give that ear a little bit more form, maybe a little bit more size. There. And I'm really thinking about, you know, some of these other principles that I've talked about. The biggest being, you know, not making sure that I'm not being even with detail, proportion. You know, the whole idea behind doing this kind of stuff and caricature is to really push certain traits. The traits, you know, this is a big kind of, maybe he's a football player, college football player. That's kind of what the feel that I get looking at this guy. Well, I want to take the traits that make him big, make him that college football player, and accentuate them. And so that's what we're doing right here. You know, with this crew cut, maybe he's he looks like a maybe he played for Notre Dame in the 60s or something like that. It's, you know, I start to make up, even though you start out doing these and you don't really have, you know, sometimes I don't have a big direction that I'm going. Once I start to find something, then all of a sudden I start to create a story in my head about who this character is. And it makes it kind of fun. There we go. So, you know, I gave him brows. I'm thinking about, you know, his brow there. And maybe a couple little wrinkles right there for the eyes, little smile lines. To me, he seems like a happy guy. I want him to, you know, he seems like he'd be a lot of fun to be around. Maybe he came off the farm, you know, before he went to college. And he was a big, you know, he's a big workhorse out on the farm, you know. You just think about certain things like that. So there's one, just once again, just starting out, not really knowing where I'm going to go with it, and just seeing where it goes and having some fun with it. So let's go ahead and move that off to the side. These are a lot of fun to do. And like I said, you're not always going to hit good ones. And I struggle a lot. But let's try another one. You know, I make as many mistakes as the next guy. It's just about, you know, knowing how to push through and force yourself to try it, you know, things that aren't always comfortable. And that's what we're trying to do here. Let's try a, I don't know, let's do a cowboy. So start with that ball. Let's see. I'm going to give him some big ears. I want to give him maybe a big cowboy hat. It comes, maybe it comes around, comes down like so. And let's give him a kind of a big, I want that, you know, I want it, I'm going to move this down. I want it to contrast. Remember, I don't want it to be, I want to have a nice big open space here, right here. There's a little band. Throw a little band on there on the hat. Let's see. Let's. I'm going to pull this ear down, because right now the way that I've got that hat drawn, it's covering up his eyes, and which is okay. Maybe that's part of the deal. Maybe we get the eye line in here. Draw a long straight nose maybe, see where that goes. And as you draw, you're going to discover stuff. Maybe he's got these little eyes underneath. Or you can contrast that with a big mustache. Notice how rough I'm being. And what I want to do here, I want to make this hat, I really want to widen it out. I'm going to shrink this up. Once again, playing contrasts. Think about this head underneath the hat. Let's really bring it out, just for the heck of it. You know, now that's a little bit more interesting. Play with that there. See what works. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull this down. Look how scribbly I'm being. Now I'm going to make these eyes maybe a little bigger. And, you know, in thinking about a guy that's out on the trail, he's outdoors a lot. Maybe he's, you know, he's a little more weathered. Big eyebrows. Looking over to the side. Big mustache. See how it just kind of develops? That's the whole idea. I'm thinking in simple terms. Let's pull that ear way out there. He's got ears that are, there we go. There. See, I just kind of work it, keep working it until I find something I like. You know, a guy like this, he's going to have big sideburns, I think. I'll give him some big sideburns. Maybe a kind of a rugged chin. Like so. Let's shrink that up. Maybe he's a little bit bent over. We can experiment with that, with his posture a little bit. Maybe he's got a scarf, you know, that he wears. He's got his sleeves rolled up like so. You know, just really scribbling. I want to see where this goes. I want to get this. You notice how I'm even though I'm going really scribbly with it, there's a jawline under there. I still want to make sure that it feels like he's, like there's, you know, there's anatomy under there. I'm still, you know, I want flow. But I really like this contrast with this big hat, you know, and him underneath there. So there you go. So you've got something really quick. Have some fun with that. Like I said, now I can drop that opacity down and sit here and just draw a little bit. Let me bring that size down a little more. So now I can just come in, and once again, remember, this is all about just kind of experimenting. You don't have to make pretty drawings. You know, it's about discovery and playing with contrast. That's the one thing one of the big, when you get into a rut, a lot of times the reason you're getting into that rut is because you're drawing the same thing and it tends to get even and it tends to get kind of boring, and I go through it all the time. And so, like I said, when I get into that problem, let's clean that up a little bit. When I get into that problem, I start doing this. And what it does is it really forces me to, you know, do new stuff. And I'm going to reiterate, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. Don't be afraid to do a bad drawing. You know, all you do with a bad drawing is you do another one, okay? You know, we all have a lot of bad drawings in us, and I've got a lot more left to do before I kick the bucket. So don't worry about doing bad drawings. That's what it's all about, because you want to learn. So let's go ahead. I'm going to push that eye over there, maybe make him a little more wide-eyed, kind of bags under his eyes, that rugged nose. I'm going to define that a little bit more. There we go. And let that feed right into that mustache. This big, this big full mustache that he's got. There we go. Once again, just having fun. Big bushy eyebrows. Playing with proportion. Get that other eye. I just want to see just a little piece of that other eye. I'll get the other bags under his eye there. There we go. And get those cheekbones in. Cheekbones, real, he's weathered. So have some fun with that. Pull these ears in. This is all sideburns. More in here, sideburns. There you go. You know, I'm thinking about kind of that cliched, you know, the guy just got off the dusty trail. Maybe he's been running cattle for a couple 100 miles. You know, what would a guy like that look like? And so I just have some fun with it and just get in there and draw. There we go. Nice full mustache. You notice I'm going really quick because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on these. I want to find what works, what doesn't. Let's get that chin there, pull this chin in get a little bit more form to it. Still thinking about, you know, what I should have done is I'm going to erase that back. I want to get that jawline in there so I can push that earlobe back behind his jawline. Give him a little dimple in his chin. But you can see, you know, when I first started this, and get that, now I got the scarf. Get that scarf in there. You know, when I started it, it was a little rough. But you just keep, you know, don't be afraid to keep going with it. I'm going to pull his back down like so. And as a result of that, I'm going to pull that shoulder up this way instead. Little wrinkles in his shirt. And, you know, he's got his shirt rolled up. There we go. And I'm just going to very loosely indicate the scarf. There. But look, we got a, you know, in just a couple minutes, we got a, you know, kind of a cowboy. Now there's a lot going on in here. I would probably go in and start to simplify, because once again, it's because of that detail, it's feeling a bit even though I was trying not to be even with it, it still came out a little bit. But like I said, it's all about seeing what you can come up with. You might hit a character that you go, you know what, I like this character. I want to go ahead and refine it and just, you know, see what I can come up with. But I'm going to go ahead and shrink him up. There. Let's do another one. Let's do a female. You know, what if you want to try a hippie? I'm just going to do one out of my head. I'm not even going to look it up. I'll do what I think of as kind of a hippie. So let's give her a smile. You know, she's really happy. Maybe she's give her a little button nose. And I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but give her, there we go. Give her some eyelashes. That's a cute little nose. I'm going to give her a cute little nose. There we go. I'll see what happens if I give her some nice lips. I'm going to pull her mouth up a little higher. You know. There we go. There, that feels kind of good. Give her these eyelids. And then I like where all her features are. You know, like I said, I'm just kind of finding it right now. You know, maybe I don't know. There we go. Actually, I'm going to erase this out. I got a shape to her head that I'm kind of liking. So maybe we see how I'm just experimenting. I just want to see what I can come up with. I want nice, straight. Actually, that's all too big. I'm going to go back to what I had. Yeah. See, I like this face, and this is part of what I do. You know, I go, okay, that feels good. But now, maybe I give her a little bit more cranium. There. That face feels a little better. Maybe she's got little glasses. You know, just experimenting, seeing what works. You notice I put it on another level. That way I can experiment with it and see what works and what doesn't. It's a lot of fun just to sit here and go, hey, I want to do some like John Lennon, you know, round glasses and see what that would look like, and maybe make them, you know, rose colored or something. And just give her, I'm going to erase back her forehead a little bit. Give her a little bit bigger forehead. Maybe her hair is long and straight. And give her a nice elegant, even though she's young and maybe not refined, I'm thinking in my mind. But see how I'm playing with hair. I'm playing with proportion, and I'm finding it as we go. I mean, you're seeing, this is how I do my process. This is all kind of unrehearsed. I'm just kind of finding stuff. There, give her long, straight hair. Maybe she's not so hippie-ish anymore. The whole goal is to find something that you kind of like. I'll give her some earrings. And maybe she's got, You know, lots of love beads. You know, maybe that feels a little more hippie-ish. And she's just like, yeah, man. She's kicked back. And she's got her pupils in there. But you see, I'm just scribbling, playing with proportion, not being afraid to erase and try something different. Let me turn this around, image. And then the other thing too, remember, I'm always kind of looking, flopping the image. I'm going to go ahead and combine these layers because I like those glasses. There. I'm getting some hair. Look, I'm just really scribbling. Now, let's flip it back. Now, like we did before, I can lighten it up, come in here, and then start to draw and have some fun drawing. I want to keep that nose nice and kind of dainty. Let's get the glasses in here. I still want to keep the spontaneity in my line work, so I don't, as I'm cleaning this up, I don't labor the line like so. There we go. I want to give her some nice full lips. And once again, just kind of making this up as we go. But you know, once you're in that scribbly stage, you just kind of search. And like I said, this is an exercise to kind of break out of your rut and just have fun. You know, take an afternoon and just sit and make this your exercise. Sit down and just draw and start playing with characters' faces. We're also going to do this with full bodies because I do the same thing with them as well. But it's fun to just come up with, like I said, now we got this little hippie chick. And it's just fun to come up with, you know, a little backstory. You know, maybe she's a college student and she's just kind of taking her time getting through school. Here we go. Give her a little chin there. There we go. I like that long neck. See how we've got all this area of detail up in here, and then, you know, I have a chance to just kind of come in and play this long flowing hair against all of that. Let's go ahead and get these guys drawn in. Take a little bit more time with it. There you go. I'm going to get her eyes drawn in as well. But you can see, once again, make her a little squinty, have a little bit of fun with it. Yeah, man. I can hear her voice. And there's her pupil. There. You know, nice and simple. Thinking about those eyelids underneath, the face turning, you know, the eye lines here. There we go. Nice simple ears, like so. And it's fun, you know, once you hit those proportions or that character that you like, it's kind of a little surprise. You go, oh man, that's kind of neat. And you can sit down and just then finish it out and have some fun with it, which is what I'm doing here. And we'll just, maybe her hair is tucked. You know, she's got this long straight hair and it's tucked behind her ears. Let's go ahead and do these earrings. And I'm just making it real simple. You know, even though I'm tying it down, I still try to keep them loose, because it's really about just moving on and getting to the next one. You know, these aren't cleaned up drawings. They're tied down. They're tied down, but they're not cleaned up. There, so there's something that's kind of, let's just draw that through, because these are hoop earrings, being very specific. There, she's got her long hair and her beads, like so. So there's another character. Just by sitting down and just going, well, I wonder what this might look like, or this. I'll darken her lips up. There we go. There, that feels pretty good. Maybe we go a little darker around her eyes. Just having some fun with it, seeing where it goes. So there you go. Something that, you know, I didn't, you know, look how different this is than where we started. Where we started was a completely different thing, but I was playing with proportion and putting it around until I hit something I liked. And that's the whole idea behind this. Go ahead and shrink this up. There. So look, and you know, just in a little bit of time, we've got 3 characters. I sat down before I started this video with you guys. I had no idea what I was going to do. And that's the whole idea. You just sit down and start playing with proportions and seeing what you can come up with. You'll have a lot of fun with it. And if you're having a little bit of struggle there, come up with a character type and Google them and see what you can find on the internet, and use that as a starting point to then go back and caricature and start having some fun. You can have fun with costuming. You can have fun, like I said, with, you know, the proportions in the face, the nose, the eyes, the chin, the ears, all that kind of stuff, and how they all relate to each other. That's the whole idea behind this exercise. And also remember, this is very important. It's okay to make mistakes. You're going to come up with ones that you go, oh man, that's terrible. But then you move on, or you just keep adjusting it until you find something you like. And then those proportions that you like will start to stick. You'll start to see what works and what doesn't work, and you'll be able to carry that into your work down the road. Okay? So have some fun and experiment. Take a day and just fill a page with faces and see what you come up with. Let's go ahead and move on to the next video.